Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly pop culture wrap-up. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups. This is the weekly pop culture wrap-up. It's the show where I go over the week's pop culture news, mostly comic books and movies. Let's get right into it. ECCC. Yes, I got it right. Emerald City Comic Con has been postponed until the summer of this year. That's the big con. It's one of the biggest cons out there. It's in Seattle, Washington. Seattle's been hit hard by the panic surrounding the coronavirus. So a lot of publishers, some creators had started dropping out. People were getting really nervous to go, and then all of a sudden they just pulled the plug and they said, you know what? We have enough people pulling out. We're just going to postpone this into summer. Probably the best thing to do for the convention itself, for the creators and publishers, and of course for the fans. So I think that's cool. Washington has been one of the harder hit states so far in America from the coronavirus, so this makes a little bit of sense. But it is cool to see other people doing kind of different things. There's like a pop-up thing going on there for the local community. There is, I think it's Oni Press or Boom Studios, somebody. They're like selling their con exclusives online. Vault has talked about getting together a virtual con, something very exciting. Look it up. It's called Vanguard Con. So I'm really excited to see what's going to come out of that. But I think it's probably the best. And maybe I'm sure we'll talk more about this tonight on the live stream. Green Lantern Season 2. A few weeks ago, we talked about how it was only going to be 8 issues instead of 12 as originally planned, and we were speculating that maybe DC 5G had something to do with that. Well, it seems like all of a sudden, now that Dan DiDio is out, Green Lantern Season 2 is once again confirmed to be 12 issues. This was confirmed by Liam Sharp on his Twitter page. More Sharp and Morrison Green Lantern. I'm cool with that. I almost said Grant Lantern. Can you believe that? Grant Lantern. Hey, why not? Surely, let's do it. He's written himself in comics before. Don't tempt him. The Murphyverse. What's the Murphyverse? Well, of course, Sean Murphy, writer and illustrator of Batman, the White Knight, and Curse of the White Knight. We already know that there's a 3rd volume coming, so a big trilogy that he's been building up to. This has been dubbed the Murphyverse, and he tweeted out, this tweet has since been deleted, but he tweeted out that DC had approached him to start a line of comics in the Murphyverse, and that he would kind of spearhead the ideas and other creators would come in and take his ideas and run with them. So he said to expect a series on Batgirl, Nightwing, and Harley Quinn. Now these would be miniseries that would start coming out in between the main arcs of the Murphyverse. At least that's what he said. Then he pulled that tweet. But that's exciting. That seems really, really cool. DC has revealed some of the Matina covers for upcoming issues of Batman. I normally don't talk about this stuff, but it's kind of hype right now. So 93, you got the Matina Harley Quinn cover, and then in 94, you've got the Punchline cover. This one had a lot of people are going to be after. This was originally going to be an Art Germ cover. That has been moved to 92. 94 is going to be this Matina Punchline cover. Both look cool. They kind of work together as a set, so they're probably going to be a hot item at your comic book shop. Chew, which is a sequel to Chew, is coming out from Image Comics in June. It's going to be written by John Layman with Dan Boltwood as the artist, and this is going to focus. So Chew, which I've never read, and I've had to talk about it so much here lately that I'm really ashamed and I totally need to read Chew. But Chew is getting a sequel, and Chew is about this dude named Tony Chew who could like eat something and figure out like the history of that thing, right? I don't remember the exact terms that they used for it, but his sister has the same ability. That's what this book is. It's not Chew, C-H-E-W, it's Chew, C-H-U, which is their last name. So this is about his sister. It's a totally different thing. Layman likened it to something like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So that's really, really cool for Chew fans. Bliss is a new one coming out from Sean Lewis and Caitlin Yarsky. It's in June. From Image Comics. I got the solicitation here because it sounded really cool. In this world, there's a drug called Bliss that's kind of taking over. This is he's kind of marketed as a little bit like, I think he said Breaking Bad meets American Gods or something like that. It says, there's a drug called Bliss wiping away memories in Feral City. A good-hearted young man overwhelmed by a deathly sick child and a distraught wife makes a deal to become the personal hitman to 3 gods. killing those in their way and sending memories down the river of oblivion in exchange for his family's well-being. And what's happening with this drug is it's leeching away people's memories. So that sounds really cool, seems really nifty. Sean Lewis, I'm totally down for that. That's the writer of Thumbs and The Few, and this is the exact same creative team from Coyotes. We were talking about the coronavirus earlier. Not only has it postponed Emerald City Comic Con, it has delayed the new Bond film. No Time to Die has been delayed until November. Seems like most Bond films come out in November anyway. It's kind of a bigger profile month. It seems like it would make more sense there, but especially with the global film market being projected to take a massive hit due to coronavirus related stuff, especially like in China, I think the decision kind of all worked out. They're going to have a big worldwide international release in November. I think it's going to be a bigger deal maybe in November. This Bond film was sneaking up. However, the next podcast we were going to do was going to be the Bondcast. That has now been postponed as well. I guess you could say due to the coronavirus. Instead, we're doing a comic book villains podcast, which I'm very, very excited to be doing. The new Batmobile was shown by Matt Reeves in a few images on Twitter. There are 3 of them. I think it looks cool. I noticed a lot of people kind of goofing on it, saying it looks like Fast and Furious or something like that. Me personally, I'm excited to see a little bit of a veer away from the idea of the Batmobile as a tank and some kind of massive, like defense mechanism. And I'm down to get back into the idea of it just kind of being a sleek, fast, badass car, right? The car looks cool. It looks Batmobile enough, I think it's I've always thought it was a little weird that Batman would design this Batmobile with like all this outrageous and landish, like, bat wings and stuff like that on it, but whatever. This looks cool. It looks sharp. It looks like he just kind of built it in his garage, like strapped a jet engine to some kind of muscle car or something. I think it looks cool. I think it looks really sharp. And the costume in these images, now we got the right color grading, the way it's supposed to look. That it doesn't look bad. Now they are from afar, the images, but the suit looks pretty cool. I'm sure we'll be talking more about that tonight on the live stream. Kids in the Hall is coming back in an Amazon original series. I am so stoked for this. I loved Kids in the Hall in the 90s. I used to watch it on Comedy Central all the time, over and over. I collected up the DVDs. I'd watch them over and over. I am obsessed with Kids in the Hall. Haven't really watched them in a few years, so it's going to be nice with this news to sit down, revisit some of those classic fun episodes, you know what I'm saying, and then get ready for this new one. I love it. I always thought it was better than Saturday Night Live. It was better than Mad TV. It was the best sketch show. I loved it. I loved it so much, and I'm so happy that it's coming back. Christian Bale has been confirmed to be the villain of the new Thor movie, Thor: Love and Thunder. So, we know that Christian Bale is going to play the villain now. Tessa Thompson said this in an interview. So, speculation, who is it? Well, I've been saying Dario Agger, who would be perfectly cool for Christian Bale to play. It's basically almost the exact same character he played in the Shaft movie with Samuel L. Jackson back in the early 2000s. But if you wanted something big and beefy that you could actually fight Thor, he also turns into a Minotaur, right? And if you look at this, it's got Jane Foster becoming Thor in this movie. If you look at that Mighty Thor run, I mean, Dario Agger was totally one of the main villains. It makes a lot of sense. Christian Bale kind of fits it. I think he could handle it well. He turns into a Minotaur, so you got a big giant monster for somebody to fight. I think that's going to be it. But no official word on that, just that he is playing the villain. James Wan is producing a Universal horror film. That's pretty nifty. James Wan, of course, is the director of Saw. He's the director of many other horror films. He's the director of Aquaman. He is working on an Aquaman sequel. He's also a producer. He's produced a lot of films. So he is producing a Universal horror film. So The Invisible Man just came out and is a hit. People are loving it. And we skipped out because we thought it was going to be so dumb. So that's on us. We're going to definitely have to watch that and do a review for it. Though this week it's going to be Bloodshot. And we're not really excited for Bloodshot, so maybe that one would be good. I don't know. I hope so. Anyway, James Wan producing a Universal horror movie. The way so Robbie somebody is writing the script, and the way they said it was, it's about a group of teens and this one kid whose neighbor is building a monster in his basement. They said that this has close ties to the legacy of the Universal horror franchise. So that sounds like Frankenstein. That sounds crazy like Frankenstein. Plus, a few days before I heard this James Wan news, I saw a report that said Tom Hardy was being talked to play the Frankenstein monster in a Universal picture. Especially now, they've tried to reboot that. We've talked about this. We'll talk about this tonight. The dark universe and Universal horror. We'll talk about that tonight too. But you kind of can start piecing this together. Could you imagine a James Wan produced modern day set, maybe a little bit of a quirkiness to it, a little different of approach, but remaking a Frankenstein film, a complete reboot, and having Tom Hardy play the monster? I think that could be pretty dope. I think that could be pretty sweet, pretty sick, pretty monstrously cool. Anyway, that's what we got for you this week. What do we got coming up here at PCP tonight? We got the live stream. That's right, Rockin Robbie live tonight, U.S. time Central, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. U.S. Central time. Rockin Robbie live. It's going to be a fun night because it's a Teen Dog Shades night. We're going to be talking about some stuff that we talked about here, including that Batmobile. We'll be talking about the Universal, their lack of ability to be able to successfully launch a cinematic universe with their horror properties. And then all of a sudden they got The Invisible Man comes out and it just kind of hits, and they weren't even planning on building from that. But that's what you're supposed to do, just focus on the movie. We'll talk about a lot of this stuff and more. I'll open up that Black Bolt figure right there, as well as this Medusa and this Gorgon. So it's kind of an opening up the Inhumans night. I'll show off my first appearance of Black Bolt, which is Fantastic Four 46, and we're doing a big, deep dive. We're going to talk about aliens, UFOs, government conspiracies, all that kind of fun stuff. We're just going to have a nice, fun chat about it in a Teen Dog Shades type style. That, of course, and the usual fare, advanced reviews, weekly comic book review, top 10 of the week, and all that and more. And another episode of Comics Revisited. We got a lot of excitement for PCP this week, so thank you for joining us. Thank you for checking out the video. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and be sure to join us tonight, 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time, for Rockin Robbie Live. The shows are so much fun. It's your chance to interact with me and have a fun discussion, and we always have a blast on Sunday night on Rockin Robbie Live. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on living.